we need to talk about Google Ads and AI. Since ChatGPT was launched at the end of November last year, the digital marketing world has basically lost its collective mind. There are so many people worried about what will happen, what are the ramifications, what's the impact of AI on not only digital marketing platforms like Google Advertising, but also on the jobs involved in the industry. People that work in the industry are worried that it'll be AI running campaigns and there won't be human involvement and they won't be necessary. So I wanted to talk about AI and Google Ads, what's likely to happen, what the impacts are actually going to be, dispel some of the myths that are out there, because there's a lot of fear right now, a lot of talk, and I think, to be honest, a lot of it is nonsense. So let's start by tackling the biggest fear when it comes to AI and Google Ads, and that is that ChatGPT or something similar will simply replace Google search. And then instead of people going to Google, searching for things, trying to find information and being presented with, all the responses plus ads, of course, that simply won't happen. People will just go onto ChatGPT or something similar and they will search for their answer. They'll get one correct answer. There's no opportunity for ads, and that would be terrible for Google as a business, but also us advertisers looking to advertise on Google, because if there are not lots of search results and not lots of ads to be displayed, how can we advertise to people? That is one of the big concerns that's taking place. And I do know of a few people that are using ChatGPT right now more than Google when it comes to searching. But I think this fear is massively overblown. The search experience that you get from something like ChatGPT is far, far worse than you get from something like Google. Firstly, with ChatGPT, you're just going to get the one answer for the most part. And if that happens to be wrong, which it often is, that's a really big problem, because you're going to be completely misled on getting the correct information that you wanted based on your search query or finding whatever it is that you were looking for. Whereas when you're searching on Google, you have multiple options. If a few provide incorrect information, it's less of a big deal. You can look around, you can get a consensus, and you have multiple things to take a look at. That might sound like it's extra effort for the searcher, and it can be in some instances, because you have to sort of filter through and work out which one you're going to click on, etc. But I think overall that is still a benefit, particularly while ChatGPT is providing a lot of incorrect information. ChatGPT as a service is also pretty unreliable at this point. Reliable service is behind a paywall. And if you've used the system like I have quite a lot, you'll find that you try and go in and often you are presented with a message that's saying it's down right now, it's unavailable, there's too many users using it. You can pay to get rid of that, but are regular people going to do that when they could just use Google search instead? I don't think so. We're obviously very much at the early days of ChatGPT and similar AI systems, so that is likely to improve over time. But certainly for now, that's a really big tick in the negative column to say, why would the masses switch from using something like Google search to a ChatGPT system? So those are my thoughts on the short run. Will ChatGPT replace Google search in the short run? Absolutely not. It's a far inferior search experience. And remember that Google is the incumbent. That's what people are used to using. When they log onto their laptops in the morning, they probably bring up a Chrome browser and start searching on Google. It's what we all do. So in order for something to replace that, it has to be a significantly better, in this case, search experience to win, to move people, to get them to take an action and stop doing what they're used to doing and get them to do something new. And we're nowhere near that. Over the long run, that might be a different story, and that's what we need to cover next. Now, it does look like Google is concerned over the long run with something like ChatGPT, and they have responded by releasing Bard, which is their own sort of version of a similar AI system. It does look to me like they rushed that release. Having played around with it, as I know a number of people have, it doesn't seem as useful as ChatGPT. It looks to me like, yes, it's something they've been working on for a number of years, but they have really gone ahead and released it and sped up the time frame sort of in response to ChatGPT, and perhaps wanting to help improve share price and things like that. It backfired because it hasn't worked as well, but I think that was probably their intention by getting this released. But I'm not too concerned about the short term of, say, Bard versus ChatGPT and how that works. What I want to look at is the long term. Which company, and of course there are going to be other companies that we don't yet know about, haven't heard of, working on similar systems, which one do you think is likely to win over time? And if we're talking about something, let's say, replacing Google search, which I don't think is necessarily going to happen, but I'll cover more of that in a minute. But let's say it does, there's probably going to be one major winner. We know that for the last however long decade, let's say, Google search is by far and away the winner when it comes to people's search experience. They might use Bing or something else, but that's a tiny percentage. Google's going to be 90 to 95% of the overall search market. So I think that trend is going to continue. If an AI system like ChatGPT does replace Google search, it's likely to be one winner and a number of others that don't win. I think Bard is far better positioned to win over the long run because Google has access to much more data. And that might sound like a trivial point, but it absolutely isn't. People have talked about the latest version of ChatGPT being based off a lot more data, and as things go forward, that's going to continue to be the case, and that it gets a lot more sophisticated because of that data. Well, who has more data than Google? No one. Also, we have to factor in that with ChatGPT, it's using historical data. So if you try and ask it something that's about something that's just taken place or something that's going to take place, information that is going to be available on Google, ChatGPT doesn't have that and is not able to answer. You will see it say, I'm only able to answer questions based on things before 2021, or if it's been updated now, it might be a more recent date, but they're still in the past. Whereas when you're searching on Google, as long as something's been just updated, you can see that. And I think Bard's going to be able to use that going forward to its advantage and provide much more real-time and useful information. And if you think about your own search activity, I would imagine that a lot of Google searches involve bits of information, or you want bits of information that are very much real time. You're searching, when is that shop open till tonight? There are things that are very important for you to know now, not just based on historical information from 2+ years ago. Okay, so let's play out a couple of different scenarios. Let's assume that Bard does win and that becomes the replacement, let's say, for Google search. Well, how are Google going to monetize it? With ads. That seems very obvious to me. There's no way that they're going to happily replace something like Google search with Bard and just have no ads run, no way of really monetizing that. There's definitely going to be opportunities for ads. It's how Google makes the majority of its revenue, in the $200+ billion a year range, by the way. So this is very, very significant to Google as a business. They're going to place it with ads. Let's assume a different scenario, that a different AI system like ChatGPT wins, and that's what we are all using to search for stuff online. How are they going to monetize it? I would be absolutely shocked if they sort of keep it behind a paywall. I think it can't win if they keep it behind a paywall. They are far, far more likely to use ads instead, let people use it for free and use ads, in which case we would probably be able to do very similar search ad activity that we currently use Google for, but do so via ChatGPT's ad platform whenever that gets created, if it does, or whichever other AI system works for search. There's going to be opportunities for us as businesses to advertise on people's search activity. Based on their search intent, we're going to be able to put ads in front of them. There's too much money involved in that for whatever company wins for them to not take advantage of it. But I don't really think either of those scenarios are the most likely. I think what's most likely is Google probably continues to dominate search, and instead of switching from what we use right now as Google search to an AI system like Bard, I think it's much more likely that they get integrated in together. And we have a sort of hybrid system where the information that we get provided with is more useful. This is going to help us as searchers be provided with a better user experience. And it may also help us as advertisers because we could probably be more targeted, more tailored. And as the system gets more and more sophisticated, we can stop wasting money by putting our ads in front of people that aren't actually right for our business and really focus in on those hyper value prospects that we want to advertise to, that we know are likely to go on to convert. And from an advertising standpoint, I think we have a good idea of what that is likely to look like, because of course AI and machine learning processes have been involved in digital advertising platforms like Google Ads for years. This is nothing new. This is a continuation of progress within that technology. And we can see that with things like Performance Max campaigns. So Performance Max campaigns take control off of advertisers, take a lot of the workload off our hands, and they sort of give it to Google, give it to Google's AI and machine learning processes and say, you work it out, you get us the best results possible. Now, of course, Performance Max includes the search network, so we're still able to advertise to people based on their search activity, which is great, definitely something we want as Google advertisers, but it includes a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So I think as AI gets integrated more and more into Google search and Google's advertising platforms, we're going to see more and more of a shift to Performance Max campaigns, which are already delivering great results in many cases and are likely to improve. And if you're not familiar with Performance Max campaigns, how to set them up or how to get the best results, I'd strongly recommend you check out this video here, which is a full detailed walkthrough of how to set them up, why they can work so well. I strongly recommend you check it out.